The sky above the royal palace of Zalara was calm, quiet, and golden. Nothing seemed unusual. Visitors walked through the floating gardens, guards stood at their posts, and soft music played in the distance. It was an ordinary day until the alarms began to scream. A deep, shaking sound echoed across the capital city. Every guard lifted their head. Every sensor lit up red. The ground trembled as the palace shields activated for the first time in 12 years. High above the clouds, a strange ship appeared. No one recognized the ship's shape. It was old, older than any current design. It had heavy metal plates, strange symbols, and glowing engines that pulsed like a heartbeat. The galaxy had not seen a ship like this for centuries. The Queen of Zalara, Queen Arasha, stood on the balcony. Her face turned pale. She whispered only 2 words. She's back. For 12 long years, her daughter, Princess Lysera, had been missing, lost during a peace mission. Some believe she died. Others believe she was taken. No one expected her to return, especially not like this. The ship lowered slowly, landing on the palace platform. Guards surrounded it instantly. Everyone aimed their weapons. Everyone waited. Everyone felt fear. The Queen's advisors whispered nervously, "Your Majesty, we must prepare for danger, but we do not know who is inside. It could be a trap." But the Queen lifted her hand to silence them. Her heart beat fast, but she kept her face calm. A hiss of steam filled the air as the ship's door opened. Everyone stared, and then she appeared. Princess Lysera stepped out slowly. She looked older, stronger. Her eyes carried pain and fire. Her silver hair was tied back, her armor cracked and burned. She walked with confidence, but also sadness. The Queen gasped. It was truly her daughter. But the palace guards did not move their eyes to the princess. They stared at the 2 figures walking behind her. 2 humans, a man and a woman. Both tall, wounded, but standing with fearless posture. Their clothes were torn, marked with battles. Their eyes were sharp and alert, scanning every corner as if expecting enemies. The entire palace froze. Humans were a death world species. Dangerous, unpredictable, rare. Most people in the galaxy had never seen one alive. Stories were whispered about humans. How they were too strong, too fast, too smart at survival. Some believed humans were monsters, and now 2 of them walked beside the lost princess. Guards raised their weapons instantly. "Lower your weapons," Princess Lysera shouted. Her voice shook with force. Even the guards stepped back. "These humans saved my life," she said. "Without them, I would not be standing here today." But the council members whispered again. "Humans? Here? This is madness. They cannot be trusted." The Queen walked forward slowly. Her steps were heavy with emotion. She stopped just a few feet away from her daughter. "Lysera, is it truly you?" the Queen asked softly. The princess nodded, her eyes filled with tears for the first time. "Yes, Mother, I came home." The Queen moved to embrace her, but the 2 humans stepped forward very slightly. Not aggressive, but protective. They acted like shields around the princess. Even that single movement terrified the guards. Princess Lysera understood their fear. She placed a hand on the man's arm. "It's okay, Evan," she whispered. Then she looked to the woman. "Emira, it's safe." The humans relaxed a little, but they stayed watchful. The Queen looked at them with confusion and fear. "You brought humans to my palace?" Princess Lysera took a deep breath. "I did not bring them for diplomacy, Mother. I brought them because I had no other choice." Everyone leaned closer. The air felt tight. "Where have you been?" the Queen asked. "Tell me everything." The princess looked around the hall. She felt the judgment, the fear, the hatred in every pair of eyes. So she swallowed hard, and then she spoke. "Was not kidnapped," she began. Stranded on a death world, a place no alien can survive. I should have died there." She pointed at the 2 humans beside her. "But they found me. These 2 humans saved me. They taught me how to fight, how to survive, how to live when everything wanted me dead." Gasps spread through the hall. A Zelaran officer stepped forward. "A princess with respect. Humans are dangerous." Princess Lysera shook her head. "Humans are loyal. Humans are brave. Humans protected me when no one else could." She looked directly into her mother's eyes. "And there is something more, something the galaxy does not know." The Queen felt her heart drop. "What do you mean?" she asked. Princess Lysera's voice dropped to a whisper. "Is a threat coming? A silent enemy, one that destroyed entire worlds. One that even you do not know exists." The Queen stepped back in shock. The princess continued. "These humans, Evan and Mira, they are the only reason I am alive today. They kept me alive long enough to learn the truth. She looked around the throne room, her voice hardening. And now that truth has followed me home, everyone froze. Everyone felt fear. Everyone knew something terrible was coming. And the princess ended part one with one final sentence. The galaxy is not ready for what is coming next. The throne room stayed silent after Princess Lysera's words. No one spoke. No one moved. The air felt heavy, like something dark had entered with her. Evan and Mira, the two humans, stood behind her without fear. They did not bow, did not hide, did not flinch even when hundreds of alien eyes watched them with distrust. They acted like warriors who had already survived worse things. And they had. Queen Arasha was the first to speak. Lysera, what threat are you talking about? Her voice trembled despite her attempt to stay calm. Princess Lysera slowly stepped aside so the humans were clearly visible. This threat is the reason I was gone for 12 years, she said. And the reason these humans are standing here. The queen studied them carefully. Evan's posture was straight, his expression unreadable. Mira's eyes were sharp, watching every corner of the room like a predator. The queen felt a shiver. These were not ordinary beings. Explain, she demanded. Lysera nodded. It began after my peace mission. My ship crashed on a planet named Vornes 9. You have it listed as uninhabited. Unimportant, but it is not. It is a death world. Several advisors flinched. Impossible, one shouted. No one can live on a death world. Lysera turned her head slowly. Humans can. Gasps filled the hall. She continued. Vornes 9 was full of storms, poison plants, and monsters that crawled under the ground. I was injured alone and sure I would die. For days, I hid inside a broken escape pod, listening to the sounds of creatures hunting outside. Her voice weakened for a moment, remembering. And then, I saw them. She pointed toward Evan and Mira. They walked through the storm, calm, confident, not afraid of anything. The queen frowned. You mean they were already living there? Lysera nodded. For 3 years. The entire hall erupted into whispers. 3 years on a death world? No alien had survived even 3 hours. Mira finally spoke for the first time. Her voice was soft but carried strength. We adapt fast, she said. Humans are built for survival. The palace guards stiffened. Hearing a human speak was unsettling. It felt too natural, too familiar, yet too powerful. Princess Lysera continued her story. They found me when I was unconscious. They carried me to their shelter. They protected me from creatures that can tear metal in seconds. They shared everything they had, food, water, knowledge. Evan added quietly, you were dying. We couldn't leave you. His words were simple, but they hit the queen's heart like an arrow. Lysera looked at the council. They taught me how to survive, how to track danger, how to fight. Humans do not give up easily. And on Vornes 9, you either learn fast or you die. A military commander stepped forward. But how did humans get there? Our records say the human population in this galaxy is extremely low. Mira and Evan exchanged a quick glance. Lysera answered instead. They were not stranded by accident. They were running from the same enemy I mentioned. The queen's eyes widened. Who is this enemy? Who is this enemy? Lysera took a slow breath. They call themselves the Hollow Swarm. A cold silence swept the entire hall. Lysera continued. They invaded human worlds first. They came without warning. Without sound, without ships. They moved like shadows, draining entire cities, leaving nothing alive. The guards shivered. Even the queen's hands tightened. If they do not negotiate. They do not speak. They do not take prisoners, Lysera said. They only consume. And humans survived? The queen asked, shocked. Evan nodded. A few of us. Most didn't. Mira looked down, pain in her eyes. We lost everything, she whispered. Lysera continued. Mira escaped to Vornes 9 with a small group, but only they survived the first year. The court stayed frozen. 2 humans survived a death world, and an enemy that destroys planets. Queen Arasha tried to understand, but why did humans not call for help? Why did your people not reach out to us or other empires? Evan finally stepped forward. Because no one believed humans existed, he said. No one cared. And by the time someone finally noticed, it was too late. His voice held no anger, only truth. Lysera walked closer to her mother. Then now the Hollow Swarm is moving again. The queen felt fear she had never known. You mean they followed you? Lysera closed her eyes. Yes, gasps exploded through the hall. A council member shouted, Humans brought danger here. They should be imprisoned. Evan's jaw tightened. Princess Lysera stepped in front of them like a shield, firmly. No, she said firmly. They tried to warn others. They're not the danger. She pointed toward the sky. The hollow swarm is the danger. The Queen's voice trembled. Do you have proof? Do you have proof? Evan stepped forward again. Yes. He opened a small metal case. Inside was a black crystal device glowing faintly. This recorded the last moments of a human colony, he said. He placed it on the ground. A hologram rose above it, showing a human settlement, peaceful, calm, and then everything turned dark. Shadows moved across the image. Screams echoed. Buildings collapsed as if eaten by invisible force. Everyone watching felt their blood freeze. The hologram ended. The entire court stood in terrified silence. Lysera spoke quietly. This is coming for us. The Queen slowly sat down, shaken. Lysera, what do we do? Princess Lysera looked at Evan and Mira. We prepare, she said, and we listen to the humans. They know more about this enemy than anyone. Evan nodded once. The hollow swarm is close. We do not have much time. The room fell into deep silence, and Lysera ended the part with a chilling truth. Mother, we brought humans because they are the galaxy's last hope. The hologram's final scream still echoed in the throne room when the lights slowly brightened again. No one spoke. No one breathed normally. Every person felt the same sharp fear inside their chest. The hollow swarm. For the first time in years, Queen Arisha felt powerless. Her people always believed the Zalara Empire was safe, protected by strong fleets and ancient shields. But after seeing the hologram, even the strongest generals looked like frightened children. Princess Lysera broke the silence. We cannot ignore this, she said gently. We must act before the swarm reaches us. But the Queen's High Council reacted with panic, pride, and denial. Dangerous emotions for a galaxy facing extinction. This must be fake, shouted Advisor Trenner. We should arrest them immediately. You destroy that device before it spreads fear. Mira's eyes stayed dead calm, but her hand slid toward the knife on her belt. Evan's stance stiffened, ready to protect Lysera at any cost. Princess Lysera stepped forward sharply. Enough, she shouted. Her voice echoed across the hall. Even the Queen looked surprised at her daughter's new strength. Lysera continued. These humans saved me. They have no reason to trick us. And if you keep denying the truth, you will doom all of Zalara. Advisor Trenner sneered. Why should we take commands from someone who lived with humans for years? A dangerous silence fell. Mira stepped forward slowly. Her voice was quiet, but sharp as a blade. But because she survived where none of you could, Mira said. And because your arrogance will kill billions. Guards tensed, gripping their weapons tighter. But before any argument could restart, a sharp alarm suddenly blasted through the palace. Sylvian, brr. Queen Arash's face drained of color. What now? She whispered. A frightened officer rushed into the hall. Your Majesty, he shouted, panting. Long-range sensors have detected something. What something? The Queen asked urgently. The officer swallowed hard. Hey, a mass, he said. Hey, dark cloud, moving fast. No identified structure. Evan's eyes narrowed. How big? He asked. The officer hesitated. Big enough to cover a small moon. Gasps. Shivers. Fear, Mira whispered. It's them. The hollow swarm. Lysera's heart pounded. They found us, she said, just like I feared. The Queen stood up. Prepare the fleet, she ordered. All ships to defensive positions. But Evan shook his head firmly. It won't help, he said. Your ships are not ready. The Queen looked offended. We have the strongest energy shields in the sector, Evan replied calmly. The swarm doesn't break shields. They slip through them. Like smoke. Like a virus. Your weapons can't hurt them. The council burst into arguments again. This is a human lie. We cannot trust Deathworlders. He brought the enemy here. Mira finally had enough. She stepped into the center of the hall, removed the glove from her right hand, and pressed her palm against the metal floor. A glowing pattern spread outward, thin blue lines forming strange symbols. The council stared in shock. What is that? Evan explained. A warning system we built on the Deathworld. It senses hollow swarm activity. The glowing symbols suddenly turned red, pulsing like a heartbeat. Mira spoke softly. They are closer than you think. The Queen stared at the glowing floor. Fear grew in her chest like a storm. How much time do we have? she asked. Evan looked at the pattern, his jaw tightening. Hours, he said, maybe less. The Queen called for an emergency strategy meeting.
Yeah.
Everyone gathered around a large holographic table showing the incoming mass. The cloud was huge, shifting, alive, moving like a silent wave of darkness. A general pointed at the image. We will blast them before they reach the planet. Evan shook his head. You can't blast shadows. But we must do something, the general shouted. Mira answered calmly. You can, by listening. The general clenched his teeth, angry that a human dared speak like this. Evan explained. The hollow swarm avoids heat but is drawn to energy. If you activate your shield, it will only get stronger. The Queen frowned. What do you suggest? Evan's voice was steady. Shut down the palace shield. Shut down everything. Go dark. The room erupted. Impossible. A treason. This human wants us defenseless. Princess Lucera spoke loudly. He is right. Everyone turned to her. Lucera continued. I saw the swarm up close. They detect power like animals smell blood. When we turned off our beacon on the death world, they passed over us like we weren't even there. The Queen looked torn between fear and trust. Evan added, your only chance is to hide your planet's energy signature. We humans will handle the rest. Handle, the Queen repeated. How? Mara and Evan exchanged a silent look. We have a weapon, Mira said quietly. Human weapon, ancient, dangerous, but it can stop the first wave long enough for your people to prepare. The Queen stared at them, unsure. What weapon? Evan placed a small device on the table, a gray cylinder with glowing veins. Lucera whispered, a heat core pulse. The council panicked again. That weapon is banned. It's too unstable. It could kill us all. Evan nodded. It could, he said. But if we don't use it, the swarm will. Silence. Heavy. Dark. Final. Queen Arasha closed her eyes for a moment, breathing deeply. Then she opened them with new resolve. Princess Lucera, she said softly, stand beside the humans. You trust them. Then I will too. Elizabeth placed her hand on Evan's arm. Mira stepped closer, ready. And the Queen gave the most important order of her life. Shut down all power. Prepare the palace for darkness, and follow the humans' plan. The lights in the palace flickered. The city outside dimmed, and the first shadow of the hollow swarm touched the edge of the system, coming closer. Hungrier. Unstoppable, the capital of Zalara fell into darkness. One moment, the shining city glowed like a jewel in space. The next, every light vanished. Every engine stopped. Every shield collapsed. The world went silent. Above the planet, the hollow swarm's dark cloud drifted closer, slow, smooth, and terrifying. It looked like a moving night sky, filled with crawling shadows. It did not come with engines or sound. It did not radiate heat. It moved like hunger given shape. Inside the palace, Queen Arasha trembled as she stared at the hologram. The swarm was now entering orbit. We have minutes, an officer whispered. Princess Lucera stood beside Evan and Mira, her hand shaking slightly. She tried to hide it, but Mira noticed. You're afraid, Mira said gently. Lucera exhaled. Yes, I am. Mira nodded. Good. Fear keeps you alive. Recklessness kills. Evan stepped forward, placing the heat core pulse device on the palace balcony. It hummed quietly like a heartbeat. Lucera looked at it nervously. Will this really work? She asked. Evan didn't lie. It will slow them, he said. But it won't stop them. That truth made the Queen's stomach twist. Then why are we using it? She asked. Mira met her eyes. Because slowing the swarm is the only chance you have to prepare your fleet, your people, and your soldiers. Buy time or lose everything. The Queen nodded slowly. Time. The most valuable weapon in a war the galaxy didn't understand. Outside the palace, the wind changed. The sky darkened. The ground shook lightly. A guard whispered. A guard whispered. Here. Princess Lucera watched as the swarm finally reached the upper atmosphere. The cloud shifted like a living ocean. Shapes moved inside it. Not ships, not creatures, not machines, something else. The oldest Zillaron legends spoke of a void eaters, beings made of darkness, feeding on light, swallowing life whole. But no one believed those stories, until now. Evan turned to the Queen. When we activate the pulse, he said, every swarm creature will target us first. Us? The Queen repeated, confused. Not the city. No, Mira said. Humans burn hotter than other species. Our bodies produce stronger energy signatures. We will be the brightest target. She said it like it didn't matter, like she had accepted death long ago. Lucera felt emotion rise in her chest. You're going to draw them away? She whispered. Evan nodded. We survived a death world. We can survive this too, long enough. Lysera shook her head. Oh no, I won't let you fight alone. Evan looked at her softly. You already helped, you brought us here. He placed a hand on her shoulder. And now let us protect your people. The princess felt tears forming, but she blinked them away. Warriors did not cry, not in front of fear. The ground vibrated again. A deep humming filled the skies. The hollow swarm had reached the palace walls. Like creatures slipped through walls, through stone, through air, like smoke passing through cracks. Their shapes flickered, sometimes solid, sometimes mist. Their eyes glowed faintly, not with emotion, but with hunger. Guards fired plasma rifles. The shots passed through the creatures harmlessly. The swarm didn't even flinch. A guard screamed. Another dropped his weapon. Fear spread like wildfire. Evan shouted, Al-Azira! A massive shockwave burst from the palace, heat, light, and raw force mixing into a single powerful blast. It rippled across the city, blasting away the first layer of swarm creatures instantly. The sky lit up like a dying sun. Millions of shadow creatures shrieked, soundless but felt in every bone, but the effect lasted only seconds. The swarm recoiled, paused, and surged again, even faster than before. Mira grabbed 2 weapons from her belt, human-made impact rifles. Evan held a blade powered by kinetic energy, ancient human tech. They stood together on the balcony as the swarm flooded toward them. Evan shouted, Hold the line! The first swarm creatures reached them. Mira fired. Her shots didn't pass through. They created shockwaves that forced the creatures back. Evan slashed through dark tendrils that turned solid only when struck. Princess Lysera moved with deadly grace. Every strike bursting with energy the humans taught her to strengthen. The queen watched from behind, breath shaking as the trio fought alone against a flood of shadows. And for a few glorious moments, they held. 3 warriors against a storm. Evan's blade burned through a dozen creatures at once. Mira's rifle pulsed with thunder. Lysera's spear danced like lightning. The guards stared in disbelief. So this was the strength of humans. Death world strength. Survival forged strength. Real HFY strength. But the swarm did not stop coming. A dark shadow began forming above the palace, a shape larger than all the others. Not mist, not smoke, something more solid. More ancient, more intelligent. Lysera's breath caught. It's their leader. The queen stepped back fearfully. What is that? Mira swallowed. A swarm prime, she said. A creature that commands the others. Evan gripped his blade tighter. If it reaches the queen, everything ends. Lysera stepped forward without hesitation. Then it won't reach her. Evan and Mira exchanged a quick glance. Pride flickered in their eyes. But behind them, the sky tore open as the giant shadow descended. The ground shook violently. Walls cracked. Darkness swallowed light. The queen stumbled backward in terror. Lysera raised her spear. Mira raised her rifle. Evan stepped in front of them both, and the part ended as the monstrous swarm prime roared silently, its presence alone enough to kill, and the trio prepared for their final stand. The swarm prime landed on the palace roof like a silent nightmare. It was enormous, taller than the throne room, shaped like a creature and a shadow at the same time. Its body twisted like smoke, but its claws were solid as steel. Dozens of glowing eyes stared down at the 3 defenders. Evan, Mira, and Princess Lysera stood in front of Queen Arasha. They were all that remained between the swarm prime and the fall of an empire. The prime tilted its head as if studying them. Then it moved. Not fast, not slow. Just certain, like it had already won. Mira fired first. Her impact rifle punched waves of blue pressure into the creature's chest. The hits pushed the shadow back but did not harm it. The prime simply absorbed the force like a void swallowing light. Evan charged forward, blade glowing with white fire. His strike cut through 3 of the prime's tendrils, burning them away, but more tentacles grew instantly. The monster was learning. Lysera spun her spear, energy crackling across her armor. She thrust the glowing blade into the prime's shoulder, sending a burst of golden sparks into the sky. The creature shrieked silently, shadows writhing, but still did not fall. Again, Evan shouted. They struck together, Mira's blasts, Evan's blade, Lysera's spear. 3 warriors fighting as one. But the prime kept advancing step by step, its heavy presence crushing the ground under it. Every move created shockwaves that cracked stone and glass. Mira's rifle overheated. Lysera's energy reserves dropped. Evan bled from a wound across his side. Still, they did not stop. You know, being humans, fight. Anyway, below the queen watched helplessly as her palace shook. Tears filled her eyes. Please, she whispered, don't let my daughter die again. A sudden roar of wind surged upward as the prime lashed out with its full force. A wave of darkness crashed into the defenders. Evan and Mira flew backward, hitting the ground hard. Lysera fell to her knees, her spear flickering. The prime towered over her. It reached out with a massive claw. Queen Arasha screamed, Lysera! But before the claw struck, Evan jumped in front of her. The prime's blow slammed into his chest, lifting him off the ground and throwing him across the balcony. Lysera cried, voice breaking. He hit the wall with a sickening crack. But slowly, painfully, he stood back up, bruised, bleeding, barely breathing. He wiped the blood from his mouth and stared directly into the monster's countless eyes. And he smiled, a small human smile. A small human smile. You hit like a planet breeze, he whispered. The prime hesitated. It didn't understand bravery. It didn't understand humor. It didn't understand humans. That confusion bought them seconds Mira needed. Mira crawled to Evan's side. Your ribs? She asked. Oh, broken? Evan said. You can't stand? I don't need to stand. I don't need to stand. Mira looked at him with pained eyes. She knew what he meant. She shook her head. No, not that. Evan, you won't survive. He smiled again, soft, tired, but full of warmth. We have no choice. The pulse core didn't work fully, but the prime got close enough. Mira swallowed hard. You're gonna trigger it manually. It's the only way. Mira grabbed his hand, squeezing tightly. For a moment, they were not warriors, just two people who had survived the impossible together. Lysera stumbled toward them. She whispered another way. Evan looked at her with sad eyes. There isn't. The prime moved again, faster now, ready to kill them all. Mira stood tall, blocking it with her rifle. Evan looked up at the sky, the galaxy he never expected to see again. Lysera, he said softly, you gave us a home when we had none. Don't forget that. She shook her head fiercely, tears falling. You saved me. You saved all of us. He touched her arm gently. Then let me save your people. The prime roared silently and rushed toward them. Evan held the pulse core close to his chest. The device flashed red, energy swirling like a growing star. Mira grabbed Evan's shoulders. I'll go with you. Evan's eyes widened. No. Yes, Mira said. We survived everything together. We finished this together. The pulse core reached critical light. Lysera screamed, stop please, but it was too late. Evan whispered, for humanity. Mira whispered, for all of you. And together they slammed the device into the ground. A blinding white sphere exploded across the palace. The shockwave tore through the prime, ripping apart its shadow body, vaporizing its tendrils, drowning its darkness in pure heat and light. The creature dissolved into nothing. The entire swarm stopped moving in orbit. Every shadow froze. Every dark shape collapsed. And then, silence. A silence so deep it felt holy. When the light faded, Princess Lysera fell to her knees, sobbing. Evan and Mira were gone. Only a scorched mark remained on the floor. Queen Arasha knelt beside her daughter, wrapping her arms around her. Both cried silently, not from defeat, but from the weight of sacrifice, a sacrifice only humans could make. HFY. Humans. For the win. In the days that followed, the news spread across the galaxy. Two humans saved an empire from extinction. The hollow swarm has fallen. The princess fought beside Deathworlders and lived. Statues were raised, songs were written, and for the first time in history, humans were not feared. They were honored. Princess Lysera placed a metal plaque on the palace balcony where Evan and Mira fell. The plaque read, to the humans who stood when the galaxy fell, and beneath it a single line. Family is not blood. Family is who saves your life. The galaxy changed that day. Not because of armies, not because of technology, but because of two humans who refused to run, and the princess who believed in them.